All right, good morning, everybody, and this is live at 9:09. Unfortunately, it's at 9:10, and I have been actually reading an instruction manual. I picked up this Joby GorillaPod stand, and of course, like anything else, I didn't read the instruction manual, and I was ready to take it back. And then suddenly, a thought occurred to me. Why not read the instruction manual and figure out why this doesn't fit my phone? And surprisingly enough, it works. And there's that study about like the likelihood of you opening your instruction manual or your driver's manual to your car goes down. Like the likelihood goes down by like 90% if you don't do it within the first 24 hours of owning the car. I think the same thing can be said for a lot of things. What's really interesting about this is that this is all kind of based on this belief in ourselves that we can just figure it out, which is great. Like, hey, good morning, Julissa. Shout out to Arrowhead. So what's really cool is if you notice, like, video games stopped coming with instruction manuals because people just could figure it out. And so one thing I wanted to present to you guys today is last night. So my son and I, we read a lot together, and we are reading Sherlock Holmes right now, and it's pretty awesome. And one of the things, and this is crazy because this book is like 150 years old, and Sherlock Holmes is talking to Watson, and he's saying, essentially, he said, "I don't think that any man without data should be making any types of assessments or any types of judgments without the data." And a great example of this is I just got a phone call. What's up, Bobby? I got a phone call from our representative from from Indeed.com, and they're great. Like, I love Indeed. I think it's a really great platform. And the guy reached out to me, and eventually he caught me. It was pretty miraculous that I picked up my phone. And he said, "I have some suggestions about what we need to do with your ad." And so I'm listening to him, and one of the first things he says, and in our ad, we say, this is a weird but true, possibly life-changing or life-altering job. And we say it's like, warning, this is not your typical job and things like that, or this is going to seem like a fake job, but it's not, so don't freak out. And so we word it in that way. And so when I asked him, I said, "Well, what adjustments would you make?" And he says, "Well, the first thing is that you use the word weird, you use the word warning, and then you use the word alert in your job posting." Now, I don't know what their metrics look like, but I just know that our metrics on our end is that whenever we post that employment ad, we get, hundreds of people responding, almost per day. It just floods our email inbox. And so what I said to him was, well, to be honest with you, that's exactly the reason why I put that into the job listing, is that if someone can find that humorous, then that's the kind of person that I want that works for us. And I can tell that this guy didn't look at the data. So sometimes we have the data available to us, and then we try to just figure it out, and then we offer an opinion without really looking at like the hard numbers. So once he heard that, and I said, we've sent this, our employment ad has been sent out to like Arthur Murray schools all over the country, and they all rave about like the success that it has. And whenever we ask people what stood out to you about the ad, the first thing they say is, well, the fact that you said it was weird and that there was a warning, and it just seemed fun and seemed like the kind of place that I'd like to work at. And so anyway, so coming back to that, sometimes we don't, it's like that user manual. Here's my user manual here for this Joby this little tripod thing, and I try to figure it out without the data, and I started to make an assessment about the product, and I was like, I got ripped off. I'm going to take this thing back because it doesn't fit my phone. Well, it does fit my phone. It's fitting it right now, and that was because I just operated without the data. Funny story, and then we're going to close it out. We had a teacher. His name is Bismarck Blanco. Bismarck Blanco, if you're out there, shout out to Bismarck Blanco. So Bismarck Blanco was one of the top new student specialists in the entire Arthur Murray organization in 2003 when I first came over to the Hayward studio. And his manager, Daisy, the first thing that she said to him, or the first thing she said to me, it was like my marching orders. She said, okay, so you're going to be in charge of the advanced student department. And like that was order number 1. And then order number 2 is, and don't touch or interrupt anything that Bismarck is doing, because he's like the best I've ever had. And I was like, wow, and so I didn't want to, that was like my second instruction, and so I ended up evaluating. I was watching him work, and I noticed that the way that he was teaching, it was a little, it was a little avant-garde, like, and so, but the guy is fantastic, and he's just so, personable and charming. And so I wanted to see, like, what's this guy's, like, secret sauce, like, what's he doing that's so magical. And so I'm looking at his numbers, and I'm looking at the data, and the data shows that, like, just about like 8 out of 10 new students, when they come in to work with him, they continue on, and they feel comfortable enough to continue on and to make a purchase in the studio, which is a great metric. But then I'm watching him with this couple, and he has the woman have her hands up on the mirror, and he's having her shake her hips, and this is on like the first lesson. And then she has and then he's right behind her, and he's got his hands on her hips, and then the husband is behind him, and he's got his hands on Bismarck's hips. So it's like this hip motion Soul Train line, and nobody looks comfortable except for Bismarck. And so I'm watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how can he get away with this? But I'm remembering in the back of my head, like Daisy said specifically, don't touch anything that Bismarck's doing, because he's lights out. And then I watch, and this couple doesn't continue on the way that these other ones do. And as I looked a little bit deeper, I examined the data, and then I just said, well, let me take a look and see how many single students have continued on versus couples. It turns out that every single student that he worked with was 100%. Every single one of them, if they worked with him, did the little mirror trick. He was working on their hip motion a little early, but it was exciting, gave him the feeling of dancing. 100% of the single students that worked with Bismarck continued on to make a purchase. On the flip side, 0% of his couples continued on to make a purchase. And that's where I could make a comfortable assessment. And so immediately we started to do some work and on the way that he taught his couples. So thinking about the words from Sherlock Holmes is that we don't want to make a premature assessment about something without at least a little bit of data. If it comes to grocery shopping and you're trying to figure out what soup to buy, don't let data overwhelm you, because you could get overwhelmed in the soup aisle especially. Sometimes you can go overboard with data. But when it comes to, like, try to figure out and try to peel back the problem, or if it comes to, like, I'm going to take this product back because it's horrible, but it's just the fact that you just didn't read the instruction manual, then maybe you need a little more data in your life. You never know. But the idea is that it's, one thing is that sometimes you may not realize how much influence that you have. And so if you start spouting out opinions and ideas without the data, then someone's going to come back with the data, and that might disprove anything that you've had a strong opinion on, and that becomes kind of uncomfortable if you're in a position of influence. So check your data. If you have an instruction manual, remember, read it within the first 24 hours, and then the likelihood of you utilizing that, and actually, unfortunately, the likelihood of you having a negative opinion about the product goes down precipitously, because you have the instructions, just like this and my, that. So, oh, look at that. Man, this product is horrible. This little mount just slipped on me. Anyway, Bone Broth Simple. Bone Broth Simple. Man, that is good. I could use some bone broth in my life. So anyway, thanks for tuning in this morning, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 9:09 in the same parking lot, and we'll be covering, I think tomorrow, what we're going to do is it's going to be all question and answer tomorrow. So here's what we're going to do tomorrow. If you have a question, and I will do this on the fly, no joke, you just throw out a question, and it could be on anything, and throw it out there tomorrow at 9:09. It's going to be all question and answer. and we can cover any topic that you want. So maybe we'll make that a regular thing on Fridays. So hey, happy May the 4th, which is Star Wars Day, and my kids just got a kick out of that, and Olivia just kept repeating it over and over again, and now they're explaining it to any kid, whether or not they want to listen to it, about why this is Star Wars Day. So anyway, tomorrow, question and answer, anything that you want to cover, whether it is like high school dating problems, business advice, how to interview well, digital marketing, Star Wars fandom, anything, doesn't matter. We can cover it. So tomorrow, 9:09, I'll see you then.